Hello, everybody. Welcome to this session of Voltaic Blood. And today, I have a special friend here with me, Randy Kojaku, sound designer, sound recordist, sound engineer, and musician.
Well, it's really exciting to be here with you. And I am so excited about the upcoming Voltaic Blood, all the pre-production work that's taking place now, and filming to schedule next year, as well as post-production, including sound design and editing.
Yeah, exciting. Want you guys to meet this man. We're going to talk a little bit about sound, why it's important, and just some of the technologies that we're seeking to, I guess, get proficient in. Is that the way to say it? Because, a lot of this project this is a short that it's a proof of concept. We're trying to show new techniques, new skills that we've learned along the way, and kind of put them together and say, look, we can be at this level. And so one of the things that we're doing is using DaVinci Resolve, which gives us capabilities of using both Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Now, Dolby Vision let me just start with that one. That one is about high dynamic range. Dolby Vision is high dynamic range is a kind of a technology used a lot in 4K and 4K, I guess, encoding, where the range of the colors that you can see on your TV, if it's a 4K TV, it's a high dynamic range of colors, which is more than the past technology. But the highest version of that is the Dolby technology, Dolby Vision. And same, that's on the image side, but on the sound side, there's also a new technology called Dolby Atmos. And there's a similar rival to that called DTS:X. That's from the different company, but it's what is special, Randy, about this technology, Dolby Atmos?
Well, Dolby Atmos is adding a third dimension to the sound. Traditional surround sound is two-dimensional. So Dolby Atmos adds a sound source from overhead. And when you add that third dimension, you're able to convey 3D sound, 360-degree sound. And not only that, you're able to pinpoint sound sources anywhere within a sphere. It's a really exciting technology. And it makes the movie more immersive and realistic. Now, Dolby Atmos was introduced with the Pixar movie Brave.
Oh, really?
And that ushered in a new era of sound technology.
Brave, huh?
Yes. So, for example, you have a movie where the bad guy is escaping in a helicopter. Well, with traditional surround sound, they'll pan the helicopter left to right. But with Dolby Atmos, you actually hear the helicopter fly overhead, diagonally, or whatever direction it goes. So it's an exciting new technology, and it requires specialized equipment.
Gotcha. So before we get more into that, let me ask you first. How did you first get into sound? I don't think I even know the specifics from how you started, recording music. How did that happen?
Wow, it's a long journey, but I can remember when I was very young, and actually in elementary school, my mom bought me a tape recorder, and it was a Sony cassette recorder that came with a little plug-in microphone. And I was fascinated by what I could capture with that. So I was recording sounds, And then I was recording people, interviewing
Okay.
people. We'd have family get-togethers, and I'd ask questions, and I'd record them. And I listened. It just fascinated me. So that's how I got started with sound, with one of the early Sony cassette recorders.
Interesting.
And from there, being a musician and playing music, I got involved with the sound aspect as far as live sound. A lot of times the band would play, and I would have to run sound. And then later, I actually grew in my application knowledge sound, doing sound for churches. So I was a sound person for church and responsible for doing sound and training others. And from there, I got interested in recording. And so I started doing music recordings. And then from there, you introduced me to sound for film. And I love that aspect of it as well.
What were some of the? I guess you started doing sound when David Dietrich and I were doing shorts, right?
Yeah, I think the Redeemer might have been the first
Redeemer.
one I was involved with, and it progressed to About Hope.
Gotcha.
The full feature-length
feature.
film.
And so, what's it like working on set doing audio stuff?
It was amazing. It was exciting. It was new. It was a learning experience. But just to be part of a creative team, filmmaking, there were aspects of filmmaking I had no idea. I've always been a lover of film, a fan of film. But to understand the behind the scenes was exciting for me. And so I really enjoyed the creative process of working with others.
Gotcha. And of course, I've always seen you, with your, what do you call it? The boom pole.
Yes.
Learning all the techniques of how to boom and and that's hard work right there. Holding that thing for the long takes and all that stuff. So we're working. This time we're introducing a new microphone or technique. Tell us more about that.
Yes, well, we'll be incorporating a microphone that actually can record in Dolby Atmos. And so there are several companies that offer different approaches to that.
Gotcha. That capture like a 3D sound.
Yes.
So both left and right and back and front, but also height. So
yes.
Adding the height.
So yeah, a three-dimensional recording. So some microphones incorporate 4 mics, 8 microphones. But the technology that I'm really interested in utilizing for Voltaic Blood is the Zilia ZM1 microphone. This microphone incorporates 19 capsules in a sphere. And so you're able to...
So capsules are little microphones.
They're
right?
little microphones
or
within
what's the
the
difference?
whole microphone.
Yeah. Okay.
And it can record stereo, normal stereo. It can record in surround 5.1, 7.1, or it can incorporate Dolby Atmos recording. So once these 19 capsules capture the sound three-dimensionally, you then go into the software and you design the sound, and you place objects, and you pan objects. And I really like the Zilia approach because the capsules, the 19 individual capsules, are digital. So they're not physical or analog. Most normal microphones have a physical capsule, a design. And so you actually capture the sound, which converts to electrical impulses, which then feeds into a preamp, into a recorder or an amplifier. But the Zilia uses digital capsules that actually capture the sound digitally, so you bypass the need for any preamps.
Okay.
And so actually the advantage of that is you have less noise introduced into the recording or sound source.
Okay.
And another aspect too is when you use the quad or octagon type of microphones, each microphone has to be calibrated exactly in relation to each other.
Mm-hmm.
If the calibration goes off, then your sound, you lose that accuracy in the
Right.
in the capture. But with the Zilia being digital, it's calibrated before the microphone leaves the factory, and they're calibrated for life.
Gotcha. And by the way, this is not sponsored by Celia.
Click on the link below.
Contact us if you're watching. We can push your product now.
Zilia, if you're watching.
So, yeah, I mean, I first started thinking about this, I think, from watching those sound design videos.
Yes.
And it's only been like 2 or 3 years that well, you've been a huge influence in helping me kind of dive into sound and sound design, and both from the recording music and film stuff, honing my ear and learning. I got surround sound. I built a surround sound
Yes.
system. Part of it is, of course, enjoying the films, but also like that's a huge part of the filmmaking toolkit.
Yes.
That I need to learn how to use and listen, because when I listen, I'm also studying what the filmmakers are doing with sound to better tell the story. And so that's been a huge step for me in terms of my learning, my honing my craft or whatnot. Learning about sound design, reading about sound design, and watching videos about how sound designers record stuff and come up with these interesting sounds and the room tones. And there's a whole world out there of stuff. But I think I was watching this video of the Blade Runner 2049 sound design, and they were recording, how it's, in the Blade Runner world, it's raining and they're in cars, they're in the spinners or whatnot. And they were recording inside the car with multiple microphones, rain on the car. So that when you're in the car with these characters, you would feel the rain, all around you and whatnot. And that helps immerse you in that moment. And I think that's when I first started inquiring with you about, hey, let's build some kind of rig or get some kind of microphone and try to do this immersive sound. Any thoughts on that?
Yes. So we could come up with different rigs and designs for different applications and different scenes. Mm-hmm. And what's exciting, it'll be experimental for us to try different things and see what works and what doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And the goal is to make the film the best it can be, to make it not only realistic, but also to incorporate emotion and incorporate a direction and a vision in the film through sound. Because when it comes to a movie, we use two senses, sight and hearing. And they're both equally important. Yeah. And one is not more important than the other, but I can say this, sound and sound design, if it's not at a certain level, the film, no matter how good the visual is, the movie will not be good.
The film suffers.
The film will suffer.
Or it'll throw you off, it'll take you out of the experience.
Exactly. It just take you right out of the experience. The experience. So, as far as sound design, it's going to involve three aspects. Voice, music soundtrack, and also sound effects or Foley. So you have all those things. So for me, sound design involves technology, but it's also an art. There's a creative aspect to sound design that makes a movie go from good to like exceptional or great.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, and like one of the things, of course, that I want to do with this project is it's a sci-fi world, but it has vampires, and at some point, it gets what some people can call hyper real or surreal.
Yes.
When you push the limits of reality, because vampires are somewhat of spiritual, demonic, or kind of spiritual beings that can mess with your head and with what you perceive as reality.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of room there to play and to experiment with both visual and sound. Like one of the first scenes, there's a vampire that's talking to a character, and they're kind of prowling around. And I'm thinking of how the sound design is going to work, and you have the actual voice coming out of her mouth, moving around, but then there's that element of like this kind of spiritual voice, that is kind of surrounding her and trapping her. And like how we do that, recording in different spaces and with these microphones and using Atmos,
right,
is going to add a huge layer to that.
Yes.
And and we want to show that we're capable of working at that level and pushing boundaries, creatively and technically.
Yes. Exactly.
So, I mean, I love that. One of the things, like with this project and with this team we're building, is I'm so excited about pushing boundaries and challenging ourselves. And so I'm so excited to have you part of the team, been a friend and a mentor for a long time. So excited to see where we're going to take this and keep pushing our expertise and our technical abilities and creatively where we're going to go. And also music-wise, we haven't really touched on that, but maybe in a later session we'll talk more about the music, how we're planning on recording music.
Yes.
And a few other members that we're planning on having on that side to collaborate with. Anything else you'd like to add about sound design or
Yeah, I think we pretty much touched on a lot of what we are attempting with Voltaic Blood.
Yeah.
We want to use established techniques, but we also want to experiment and try new things. We want to push the boundary. But I think that's going to elevate the film, and that's what I find very exciting. And it really is a collaborative process. It's a creative process. I love working with you on the previous projects we've worked on. I've grown so much myself in terms of sound recording and sound design. So I'm super excited for this project and hope that everyone out there can become a part and get involved in some way.
Yes, get involved.
We welcome all of you. And I'm very grateful that you have invited me to be a part of this.
Awesome. Excited to have you. All right, guys, stay tuned. You're going to see tests here in the future. In the next few months, we're going to start testing some of these microphones. When we do the miniature test, we'll probably include music and some sound design for that test as well, just to test the sound part. So stay tuned for that, and see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.